Hi, Achim here from InnerSpace Explorers. Today we're going to talk about a bit of a special topic. One of my patrons asked me to make a video about this, and he asked me about my opinion on diving wrecks like the Salem Express where there's human remains. And before we get into this, if you like my content, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. And now let's talk about this. So for those of you who don't know the Salem Express, it was a ferry that was loaded with pilgrims, if I remember correct, on their way back from Mecca, and it sank in the Red Sea, and I think there was around 800 fatalities. I'm not 100% sure, but it was a huge number of people that died when this ship went down. And to my knowledge, and that's important for this video, this is all based on my knowledge. I might be completely wrong. So if somebody watches this video who has more in-depth knowledge about that case, so maybe with an Islamic background, please contact me or put a comment in under this video. Maybe you want to have a chat. I would love to make an interview about this topic with somebody who has a more in-depth view and knowledge about this. So my knowledge is that the government of Saudi Arabia back then asked to leave this wreck alone. Don't use it as a dive site. Leave our people alone. So this is a gravesite. We don't want it to be disturbed. Please leave it alone. Obviously that didn't happen. If I remember correct, it took just a couple of months when people started to dive on this wreck. I mean, beside all the looting and everything that was going on right after it sank, there's a couple of really nasty stories from divers going there, from really bad stuff like gold teeth, etc., to obviously personal property of the victims, etc. So there's a couple of really ugly stories, but that has nothing to do with like diving it now as a wreck for recreational diving. So I personally never dove it for decades. I've been over the wreck a couple of times with parties on liveaboards, and whenever we anchored over this wreck, I didn't dive it, simply because I think that should be respected. Considering the fact that there's hundreds, thousands of wrecks in the Red Sea, and if you want to go wreck diving in the Red Sea, you definitely don't need the Salem Express, like that's finally a wreck here. It's not. The second thing is that it's a modern wreck, so for me it's not really appealing. So it's not like the historic wreck where you can discover certain things or you can chase some history. So yeah, I never did that. Last year we've been over the wreck again, and the evening before I was sitting together with that lady that owns the dive vessel that we used, and her captain. The captain, being an Arab and having an Islamic background, I asked him, like, how do you feel about this? So I told him a bit like I see it, and that I never dove it. And I was like, I mean, you bring people here diving this wreck. I mean, is that just because it's your job and you're kind of forced to do it? Or I mean, let me know what you think. And he was super pragmatic about it. He was like, I mean, people dive it anyway. If I bring some here or not, doesn't matter. And I personally don't have an issue with it. And he was then like, you need to check it out, go. And so I was like, maybe he's right. And I'm talking about things that I never experienced firsthand, so probably that's my mistake. So I did this dive first time, and I will also not go back on it. So I went on my own. I think I spent 45 minutes on the wreck or something like that. Had an in-depth look, so to speak, and explored it a little bit. And as I said before, it's a modern wreck, so for me, from the dive site itself, it's super boring. There is this part where there's tons of luggage of personal items from the people that were on this ferry, and that obviously is a very graphic image of, or a very graphic image that makes you understand how many people died there. So there's children toys and stuff, so which obviously flips the switch, and like, ooh, there are families here that passed away, etc., etc. And so me having a background in commercial diving, and I did at least 20 body recoveries over my career, so I don't have this these spooky feelings, so that just doesn't hit me. But obviously it makes you sad seeing it. I didn't see any human remains, so I think this is mostly, they're mostly gone. There is a very stupid, very bad video on YouTube from a couple of Russian divers that actually penetrate the wreck to look for human remains. And they find a couple of bones. And yeah, I simply don't understand it. It's a really, really, really horrible, stupid video from obviously some horrible, stupid people, in my opinion. But anyway, so obviously, if you penetrate it far enough, then obviously you can probably find a couple of bones for whatever reason. I never understand that. That's like the same as these people that on the highway stop because there's this bad accident and because they hope to see some blood or some body parts or whatever. It's for me the same category of stupidity and something that I have a real issue with. So yeah, I will continue to not dive the wreck because I think I want to respect the wish of the relatives and the religious community that asked that please don't dive this wreck, and I think that can and should be respected. But diving it, considering it to be a graveyard, there are wrecks that where the graveyard is way more present, so to speak. So there's a couple of wrecks in the Baltic where you can actually see plenty of bones, and for me it's a bit like taking a walk on a graveyard. So in Munich we have a couple of really old and scenic graveyards, and it's completely okay and actually very common practice for people to go there for a walk. Very peaceful environment, lots of old trees, these old graves from a couple of centuries ago, some famous people buried there. So unless you take a walk there, I mean, it's nothing wrong with it. It's still respectful. I mean, if you take out a metal detector and start digging around the graves, that's obviously a different story. For people from the US, I mean, if you take cemetery number 1 in New Orleans, same thing. Super interesting place. Obviously, you can go there and have a walk and check it out. But you act respectfully. And it's the same with these wrecks. I mean, most wrecks that we dive had some sort of fatalities involved when they went down, especially the war wrecks. And unless you swim around, I mean, yeah, you swim around, you have a look, it's all good. When you start to take parts from the wreck, you start digging through shit and disturb the gravesite, then it's obviously not okay. So it's a matter of respectful behavior and common sense, in my opinion. So when you've seen the series that I made, Let's Find This Wreck, it was called. So I'll put a link in the description here. You can check it out. So I was looking through the wreck, searching for clues and small artifacts to prove the identity of the wreck, and I come to the skull, and immediately I'm backing away. It's the gravesite, so obviously you don't want to dig around that. So yeah, off, leave the room, done. Also, I would obviously have preferred to be able to search more and find more evidence, but yeah, it's a gravesite, so you behave accordingly. You leave the site and leave it alone. So again, I think that pretty clearly describes my feelings about this. So if you have, as I said in the beginning of the video, if you have more in-depth knowledge, if you've been involved in this tragedy somehow, if you have an Islamic background and can shine a bit of light on this from a religious perspective, I would love to have a chat. Contact me, or if you don't want it on a personal level, maybe you put a comment in the comment section of this video. I would really appreciate that. Other than that, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.